Hello and welcome to my second stop on my field trip of Lake Winnipeg. I am now in Gimli, which is about 10 minutes north of Winnipeg Beach, where I just was. I do spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time in Gimli in the summer. The traditions I have with my friends is that the last week of August we rent some yurts out at Camp Morton, which is 10 minutes north of Gimli, and it's just kind of a fun way to end the summer by camping and spending some time out in nature. So quite often stop in Gimli along the way to and from camping at Camp Morton. So we're talking about Lake Winnipeg today. I'm wearing my hoodie. Winnipeg is good. This was from the NHL playoffs a couple years ago. There's no hockey, no playoffs now, but that's okay. We're finding other things to do with our time. So yes, Lake Winnipeg. Winnipeg is good. Unfortunately, Lake Winnipeg is not good. So that's what we're talking about today in our assignment. We talked about our biogeochemical cycles, and the problem with Lake Winnipeg is the high level of phosphorus. So your text, I'll just keep moving on so you can actually see Lake Winnipeg in the back when I talk about Lake Winnipeg. So the problem is when there's too much phosphorus, it produces blue-green algae, and as the blue-green algae grows, it takes away the oxygen. So do you see how these elements are connected together in all these cycles? So too much phosphorus means not enough oxygen. Not enough oxygen just means that there's not enough for the wildlife, plants and animals to be sustained. So just some facts about Lake Winnipeg and what the problem is and what's being done. From 2012 to 2017, $18 million was put into efforts to try and save Lake Winnipeg. Like I said in the last video, it's one of the most polluted lakes in the world, and that's right here in our own province. So there was a lot of money and efforts put into it, and in 5 years of all that money, guess what happened? Phosphorus did decrease by only 1%. Now that's a little devastating, right? 5 years, $18 million, only 1%. Well, that's not very encouraging statistics. But 1% is 1%, right? It is a drop. And again, it took 50 years for the problem to establish itself. So a 50-year problem in the making is not going to disappear overnight. So it's probably going to take another 50 years of concentrated efforts to get the levels back to where it should be. So again, right now it's all ice, it's frozen. But in the summertime, if you've ever been to Lake Winnipeg and you see those green sludge, and like it was shown in the video that I showed you, that's the blue-green algae, and that's from overuse of phosphorus. And some of your textbook questions talk about, well, what can some different people do? So a lot of it is up to the farmer really about how they buy and choose their fertilizers, but it doesn't involve just farmers, it's consumers, it's government, it's all levels that need to work together to reduce this problem. So I did read a stat that they said if the farmers can get better agricultural practices, that helps, right? Because when you connect it to your cycles, right now the phosphorus in the fertilizers is running off. Remember ground runoff? That was your water cycle we talked about. And it's running off of their land into the water, ending up here in Lake Winnipeg where it shouldn't be. You don't need fertilizers in Lake Winnipeg. You want it to stay in your crops. So better, more efficient farming practices and better fertilizers would help to reduce the problem. So there you go. That ends our field trip to Lake Winnipeg. And the sun is finally coming out at the end. It is Earth Day today. And so we finally got some sun on Earth Day. So good luck with your assignments today. And there's one last look of Lake Winnipeg.